this video, we're going to take a look at Lazybird for jazz piano. It's a tune by John Coltrane. There's nothing really lazy about it. In fact, it's pretty much up-tempo. We're going to play along with a backing track in a few moments at 240 beats per minute. So it definitely clips along at a good speed. And it is a typical Coltrane composition. He really doesn't like to stick to one tonal center for very long. So it's a good exercise for you to play. It's definitely a good tune, and it gets called at jam sessions too. So it's something you really want to learn. I'm going to include a performance in this video, do a couple of courses of solo, and after that, I'm going to post a link to the sheet music and the backing track that I made. There really isn't a lot out there for piano backing tracks, meaning just bass and drums alone. So you're going to want to download that. It's going to be very useful to you. Right now, let's dive into the tune and take a look at the AABA structure. So this is definitely the first A, and of course B section would be the same as A. Now, what I mean by tonal center is that Coltrane doesn't really like to stay in one tonal center for very long. So here we're in the key of G. That's a 2-5-1 of G. Here we're in the key of B flat in the next bar, and there's only single bars here. So pretty much like giant steps, it just moves quickly. And then we switch to E flat tonal center for 4 bars, and it goes right through to here. Actually, it's only 3 bars, and then we're switching back to tonal center of G for 2 bars. So you've got a 2-5-1 of G here. And then he's got this turnaround, which is really interesting. He's going down a half step from the A minor 7th and playing a 2-5 of G flat. So this is G flat tonal center. So all our tonal centers are G, B flat, E flat, back to G, and then quickly into G flat. And then when he gets to the bridge, we've got a tonal center of A. So you've got 2-5-1 of A major. Let me grab red pen here. And then he's got a 2-5 of A flat. And then he's got a 2-5 of G. And then, like we had before, he's got this quick turnaround in G flat. Now, what makes that interesting, of course, is you as the musician need to navigate all of those chords and do it fairly quickly as the tune is going along at a good pace. So let's erase all of this and let's give you a few ideas on how to tackle that. And again, I'm going to actually play a performance in a few moments to kind of give you a sense of how I would approach it. But my first thought is, as these chords are clipping along, I'm thinking to myself, what kinds of riffs, repeatable sections that I can play. For example, if I'm in a 2-5-1 here in G, and then I'm in a 2-5-1 of B flat, those 2 5s can do the same thing. So for example, you can just play this little riff on the 2-5-1 in G, and then you can switch to the B flat. So I'm constantly doing things like that, trying to figure out little ways to repeat the same riff in 2 different keys. So let's try another one. Get the idea? Let's try one more. Okay? And that's really the way that I approach it. Now, of course, you can use all of your bebop scales, you can use some blues scales, you can use some whole tone scales, you can use diminished scales. Obviously, diminished would be more for like the dominant 7th chords. But as the tune is clipping along, you're going to find it more and more difficult to switch back and forth between the keys. So it's probably a good idea first to memorize the chord changes, then keep an eye on your fingers as they're moving through all of these different keys. Now, it's obviously going to be a little bit easier when you're doing these 2 5s to 1 in E flat because you've got more time. Now, of course, if you don't know what your bebop scales are and you don't know what diminished scales are, you're going to have to sift through many of the videos that we have in the Jazzmentl channel that talks about those things specifically. I'm not going to dive into too much detail because if I were to write out every bebop scale for each of these chords in each of these keys, that's way more time than we have for a 10-minute video. Let's take a look at the bridge just quickly again, and I'm going to erase what I've written here so far just to give us a bit of a clean slate. Now, interestingly enough, the A section kind of sticks to more flat side, even though it goes through the key of G. It's not a lot of sharps. The bridge, however, gets into A major. So that's a little bit more difficult for a piano player. We rarely play things in A, but what I would suggest is at least spell the chords as much as you can. And then a quick 2/5 in A flat. Interesting, right? You've got a 2/5 going to A flat, but it doesn't go to A flat, it goes to A minor 7. So let's take it from the bridge, B minor 7, and then E7, and then we're getting to A major 7. Or, so either bebop scale will work there. And then just a, so like when you're doing those turnarounds, B flat minor 7 to E flat 7, and of course we're referring to this right here, when you're doing that turnaround, try to spell the chord. And then you can play scales again or chords. Now, I would, if I were you, when I'm playing this with the backing track, because it is going along at a good speed, like I mentioned, 240 beats per minute, what I would suggest is maybe the first few times through, as you're learning the tune, I might suggest that you just play chords. So when the backing track is running, just try playing the melody with chords. And I've got these block chords that I'm doing, basically surrounding the chord with the melody. So again, that's a lot like giant steps, where you've got the chords and the notes changing at the same time. Now, of course, you could just comp that. So again, there's a lot to learn here. I think I'll probably take a couple of tutorials and go through lazybird. Maybe in the next one, we'll get a little bit more granular on the types of scales and the types of phrasing that you should be using. All right, here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to play the tune for you. I'm going to play the head with those block chords and then play a couple of choruses of solo. When I get back, I'm going to post a link to this sheet music and this lovely little backing track that I put together. It's actually got great drums going on it. I just pull it off of YouTube, somebody's fast drumming, and used it as the backing for this. And then I wrote a bass line and put that in. So that's what I'm going to play to. When I get back, again, I'll post those links. Okay, there you go. That's Lazybird for jazz piano. So yeah, it clips along pretty good. It's definitely going to take a little bit of practicing on your part. If you have any questions or comments about some of the things that I did in that solo, you can certainly post them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. The sheet music and the backing track can be found by downloading them through this link that I'm going to put up here in the corner. Go and check that out. And also, while you're at jazzmentl.com, maybe check out some of the other sheet music and backing tracks that we have there for other tunes that can really help you with your practicing. And if you like this video, all you have to do is give it a thumbs up. That would be great. And if you want to join the channel as a subscriber, we're well over 2,200 subscribers, I think, at this point. Basically, just go ahead and subscribe, but click the little bell when you do, and you'll be notified of all of the upcoming videos that we're making. Thanks so much for your time. I will see you in the next video.